The end of the second bracha of Bרכat HaMazon, the bracha of Neidelecha, we finish off the bracha of Neidelecha, the second bracha of Bרכat HaMazon, which is a bracha on Eretz Yisrael. Like we mentioned, the first bracha is a bracha on the food, mazon. Second bracha is a bracha on Eretz Yisrael. And the third bracha we're going to see is the bracha on Yerushalayim and the Beis HaMikdash. The second bracha that we finish off, interestingly, Baruch Atah Hashem al ha'aretz v'al hamazon. We thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for Eretz Yisrael and mazon for our food. So the Maharal points out that this seems to be very interesting because the bracha is not a bracha for food. The bracha is a bracha on Eretz Yisrael. The first bracha was a bracha on food. We began the bracha, Neidelecha Hashem Elokeinu, al ha'aretz she'enchat l'Aviseinu. We began the bracha thanking for Eretz Yisrael. We should finish off with thanking for Eretz Yisrael. So why are we finishing off al ha'aretz v'al hamazon? Why are we bringing mazon in over here? So the Maharal points out, interestingly, that in the first bracha we start off Hazanas ha'olam, we finish off Hazanas ha'koel. Why? Because the olam, this world, is more limited than ha'koel, everything. We always want to finish off, he says, with more than we began the bracha with. So since we began the bracha only with Eretz Yisrael, we finish off with Eretz Yisrael and also mazon. We add that. That's an interesting thought. But there's two more pshatim I think we could say in why we finish off Bרכat HaMazon with, we finish off the bracha of Neidelecha with al ha'aretz and we add al hamazon. So there's an interesting Zohar in Parshas Truma. The Zohar says that all mazon of the entire world's basis is really in Eretz Yisrael. And from Eretz Yisrael sprouts out that harvacha, the bracha of mazon for everywhere. So could be we finish off the bracha with al ha'aretz v'al hamazon, recognizing that not only is Eretz Yisrael good for Eretz Yisrael's sake, not only are we thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu for Eretz Yisrael's sake, and for everything we have in Eretz Yisrael and the food of Eretz Yisrael, but realizing that all our food and the entire world is really coming from Eretz Yisrael. So al ha'aretz v'al hamazon, that mazon is really a bracha of Eretz Yisrael, because a bracha realizing that all our mazon that we have everywhere else, according to the Zohar, is thanks to the bracha of Eretz Yisrael. So that's a second pshat. But then there's a third pshat that we could say, and why we finish off with Baruch Atah Hashem al ha'aretz v'al hamazon. And this third pshat, I think, is mamish emes, is that when we thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for Eretz Yisrael, it's very easy for us to get tied up in thinking that we have Eretz Yisrael, and we got Eretz Yisrael. But how did we get Eretz Yisrael? We got Eretz Yisrael almost, when it came to food, what one might think to be a kalala, a curse. Why? Because when Klal Yisrael was in the Midbar, they didn't have to plant, they didn't have to plow, they didn't have to make bread. They got mon min hashemayim. The Rebbeinu Shalom sent us down mon. It was that simple. How did we eat? We got mon. No work involved. Now we came to Eretz Yisrael, and all of a sudden what happens? We have to work for our food. So one might say that when I thank Eretz Yisrael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu for Eretz Yisrael, but I'm not thanking him for bread. I'm not thanking him for all the hard labor that goes into making bread, that all the hard labor that goes into planting apples and oranges, because when we were in the Midbar, before we came to Eretz Yisrael, we had our mazon handed to us. So why should I thank Hashem? Thank you for giving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Thank you for giving us Eretz Yisrael. And the mazon that comes through the land of Eretz Yisrael, the beautiful wheat, the beautiful crops. No, what do we need crops for? We have our mon. So no, the Chacham said when you thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for Eretz Yisrael, you have to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the mazon. You have to realize that no, that which we had the mon in the Midbar was a ness, but that was chutz mederech hateva. It was only waiting for us to get into Eretz Yisrael. But in Eretz Yisrael, the fact that Eretz Yisrael's nishtapcha is praised with the great climate, the great things that grow, the fruits, the vegetables, the zayim and the wheat. That's a bracha, not chas v'shalom klala. And we have to remind ourselves that the bracha of Eretz Yisrael, we can't think, oh, we got Eretz Yisrael, but we lost out on mazon. No, we have ala Aretz, ala mazon. We thank our Kodesh Baruch for Eretz Yisrael, and Makir, we even thank our Kodesh Baruch for the mazon. Not that it's a downside. We don't say, oh, the downside of Eretz Yisrael is we had to get mazon. No, it's an upside. Yeah, it was a greater nest maybe that we had in the Mon and the Midbar. That wasn't meant forever. And therefore we have to make sure not to get lost in that thought that maybe it would have been better if we stayed in the Midbar. Have the Mon, not have Mazin. So therefore we need the bracha of Allah Aretz V'Ala Mazin to remind us Eretz Yisrael and the Mazin.